The Melchizedek cloister or Ra is the singular blue flame sound tone of the iconic level Grandianas. The Emerald Order is the creation contract for seeding of the life field in the time matrix in the pre-matter liquid light Christos field, density 4. That was orchestrated through a cooperative agreement of intended peaceful coevolution between the Yana's density 5 Emerald, Gold, Amethyst Order, Brino Founders races. Yanas refers to the first akkadic level, Emerald Order, Grandianas, of the first primal sound field, Iyani. Yanas means of or in the Unisai, the Yoni collective responsible for seeding life in our time matrix is called the Melchizedek Cloister Iyani. The Melchizedek cloister or Ra is the singular blue flame sound tone of the iconic level Grandianas. The Emerald Order is the creation contract for seeding of the life field in the time matrix in the pre-matter liquid light Christos field, density 4. That was orchestrated through a cooperative agreement of intended peaceful coevolution between the Yana's density 5 Emerald, Gold, Amethyst Order, Brino Founders races. Yanas refers to the first akkadic level, Emerald Order, Grandianas, of the first primal sound field, Iyani. Yanas means of or in the Unisai, the Yoni collective responsible for seeding life in our time matrix is called the Melchizedek Cloister Iyani. The Melchizedek cloister or Ra is the singular blue flame sound tone of the akkadic level Grandianas. The Emerald Order is the creation contract for seeding of the life field in the time matrix in the pre-matter liquid light Christos field, density 4. that was orchestrated through a cooperative agreement of intended peaceful coevolution between the Yanas Density 5 Emerald, Gold, Amethyst Order Burino Founders races. Yanas refers to the first aquatic level, Emerald Order, Grandianas, of the first primal sound field, Yoni. Yanas means of or in the Unisai, the Yoni collective responsible for seeding life in our time matrix is called the Melchizedek Cloister Yoni.
All right, so I thought I'd let that go ahead about a few times like I just did, just to see whether or not anybody's going to show up. This is Monday night here on the West Coast, California. So we have the late hour of 10 p.m. for me. The reason why I'm doing this is because of Australia and Tokyo within that time zone region. Mainly, I did this because of one particular individual by the name of Solly. Solly, how you doing? This was for you. And so just taking a shot at it. I have plans here to go over some stuff. I think I'll just go ahead and do that. It'll be brief. And so anybody that comes by and watches this, they can check it out. There he is. There's the man himself. Hey, brother. This podcast is for you. Right. So, as you may be able to tell by the title, we're going to talk about the sequential tonal pathways that we find within the use of songs, also referred to as sones. Okay. I prefer just to use the word song in most cases. And what I'm going to do briefly, and this would be part of the workshop that I have in mind of doing. And before I get into what I'm going to do here, I think I'll mention a little bit about the workshop. What I'm going to do, because there's only a certain amount of people who have showed desire to be part of the workshop, and it's really not enough. So I'm going to focus on the individuals that want to actually do a one-on-one. And I can begin scheduling that next week. I'll make that known in Patreon. I've been waiting around for people to show up to see whether or not they wanted to participate in the workshop. And as I'd mentioned in prior videos, I think 2 so far, that I need 5 people from each section of the time zones in order for me to be able to do it. And if I am going to do one-on-ones, I have to charge a little bit more for that. So there is quite a bit of the curriculum involved with that, okay? And what also will be included is these other things that I've been doing that are relevant to the workshop of our multidimensional anatomy. It all plays part. It's not a matter of learning, and memorizing things. That's important, but I have made I'd made clear with what I was doing there that this is hands-on stuff. That's the reason why I put a lot of this to music and taken other music that's already been created and utilizing that in order to be able to facilitate the reason why one would be learning their multidimensional anatomy. It's about navigation. It's about knowing where to go and how to get there. And it's intended to be an extensive course. it's like a work in progress, I guess you could say, because there's the foundation for it, which I'm going to begin with, and then it's going to move into these other areas. Then we're going to get more into the vector locations in regard to navigation. Okay? And when I'm talking about navigation is being able to know how to get to certain places. So that being said, again, I'm going to begin, I suppose, within the beginning of next month. Look to schedule based on the individuals who have let me know within Patreon that they are interested. And I think there's about 5 people there. So I will ask them whether or not what they want to do. And whoever wishes to do a one-on-one, I'll go with that temporarily. If things shift, then, I can come back around to what the initial plans were. But if not, I'll just shift gears as well and go in a different direction, because I can't stand still and to wait around for things to happen. Things just don't allow me to do that. So, okay. Just wanted to make that clear. I wasn't putting things off. I was just trying to make sure that those who were interested, they would be coming in, and I haven't met my quota. So I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and post in Patreon about what I just mentioned here. All right, so I thought what I would go ahead and do, based on the title here, was to go over the zone of co-creation. Okay, that's what I call it. It's referred to the magic words, and the only magic that exists is you, the God sentient being. So I didn't include that. Plus, I changed the titles for a lot of the stuff. I've rewritten the music for it, and I'm presenting it in the way that probably you haven't seen it done in the same way, because I'm looking at it from a harmonic perspective. Okay, what does that mean? I'm looking at the tones and the sequence in which they're given harmonically. And I'm going to cover that briefly, and it'll give you a little insight to what I'm talking about, and hopefully it will get you a little bit excited about it. And so I'm going to go ahead and move over to another scene here. All right, so what I did, well, I'm going to do a couple things, okay? I'm going to first play for you, but I'm going to preface this by saying I transcribed this for guitar, and I have 4 different keys that I transcribed for guitar. Initially, the key that you see in front of you, I don't know if you can see that or not. I just thought I'd have it up on the screen. That's an A minor, which is it's a guitar-friendly key to play in. So originally this was in C minor, okay? And so what I have here is an A minor, which makes it, like I said, more friendly to guitar. I'm going to go ahead and play my version of it the way that I would play it, and go to a little video for that briefly, just going over it once through. And there is some elaboration in the beginning, a little fancy playing. So that's not necessary to learn. For those who are interested in learning how to play some of these songs, okay, or songs, I have quite a few of them transcribed. And if you want to do a one-on-one, like for as teaching goes, because I used to be a music teacher, just let me know. All you have to do is contact me through Patreon. It's easy enough to do. You can, if you don't want to become a paid member, it's next to nothing as a paid member. It's only like a cup of coffee per month to be a member of Patreon. As a paid member, you can, pay whatever you would like, but that's the minimum is $5, $5 US. And you can go in as free though, and just let me know that, hey, I would like to be able to do this. I would like to be able to learn this. I would like to learn how to create my own songs or my own sones, which you can do when you learn how to understand your multidimensional anatomy, you're able to create your own techniques and create your own songs. And I think that's very liberating. And that's something I've been communicating for well, it's been about a year since I've been communicating that. And so, like most things, it's slow to catch on. I'm not very well viewed, so nobody really knows what I'm doing or what I have been doing or what I've done before I did this. So, anyhow, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and play the little performance, I guess you could call it, and then we'll come back and go over some of this and break it down a little bit. Okay? All right. Turn my mic back on there. All right, so again, what you see on the screen is the transcription for it. Okay, now I'm going to change that up and go through the sequence. That is the tonal sequence. And I want to break this down a little bit. I'm going to have to shift it around here because you only see a portion of it. But I guess for this, for what I'm doing here, you only need to really see a portion of it. Okay, so I had mentioned that what is occurring here, which is quite interesting, is a harmonic movement, like you would see in music. There's a harmonic movement taking place. I've heard nobody talk about this. And when I looked at it, I go, it's moving in thirds. It's harmonically moving in thirds. So as an example to the significance of, as an example, I'll try to explain it this way. If you're playing a verse or you're playing a chorus or something and you play a sequence over and over again, let's say you sing it 3 times. You sing that chorus 3 times. This is what Tesla was referring to in regard to pulse wave. He would create a sequence where it would repeat itself in 3s or in 6s and 9s. And he never mentions 12s, but 12s is also because you have a sequence of 3, 3, 3, 3s, right? So 3, then 3 more, you have 6, 3 more, you have 9, okay? It's simple, but when you're looking at it harmonically, this is what's happening. It's like looking at a keyboard. I wish I could demonstrate this. But it's like looking at a keyboard and you have count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? If for anybody, they can go to a keyboard and pluck it out with their finger, but go to the middle C and just go 1 and to go to the next note, all the white keys. Let's keep it simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what you have there is 1, 2, 3. And when you go from 1, skipping 2 and going to 3, you have an interval which is a third apart. Okay? Then you go again, you skip over one and go to another one, which is the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have another third. That makes up the chord. That's two stacked thirds making up the chord. So looking at it from a harmonics perspective, that's what we see taking place in regard to this sequence of tones. Ere, sha, ra, di, ke, she, ta, mira, prana, chi. Let's drop down so we can make it clear. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it, okay? Let me see if I can do that. All right, that way. Because all you need to see is one part of it. You don't need to see the whole thing. I have all this materials and stuff like this in Patreon. So, and if one was to become part of the workshop or one-on-one for that course, which is our multidimensional anatomy course, then all this stuff would be provided. So if you look at Ta'a, which is D10, okay, you can see that to the left at the top of the page. I try to make it bigger so you can see it. Let me try to make it a little bit bigger. Okay. I know you probably have a hard time seeing it. So let me see if I can make it bigger. I think that's better. Okay, that's about as good as I'm going to get it at this point. So, as you see, that's K, She, then where you got Ta'a, okay, which is dimension 10. And then you got below that Mira, because we're moving down. It's going down in sequence. It's going from the top to the reality field that we're in right here, okay, which is harmonic universe 1. Right, so Ta'a, Mira, Prana, Chi. If you count that, you look at 10, it goes to Mira, which is D7, then Prana D4, then Chi D1. Those are all, that's thirds, that's moving in thirds. And all of it is like this. And then it moves back up to the triunity of the first creation, vibration, thought, intention, which you see in the Manu. Okay? And then it goes back through, again, the primal sound fields, because that's what it's doing. Let me see if I can pull that down so you can see it. I tried to put this together earlier, and I don't have the software that I had before, and everything's different, and it doesn't work the same, especially with Windows 11. Windows 11 is a pain in the rear end. Anyhow, so plus I had to get new stuff because my old stuff didn't work and it was obsolete because it only worked with a Windows 10. So Ire Sha Ra. Okay, so Ire Sha Ra DK She. You see this within pre-sound, then within vibration, within the acoustic level 1, and then polaric and triadic level of the primal sound fields, Ra, DK. Okay? And you see this repetition taking place. So it'll go through the harmonic universe, then you'll have this going back into the primal sound fields and into this primal light fields, and then through the dimensional bands. And all this is movements, it's harmonic movements. So why is this important? Well, it's extremely important because when you tone and when you're singing something, it's important to understand why you're singing it and how, or should I say, what can transpire in the process while you're doing it. You know, just memorizing to singing it is beneficial, but if you can focus on what is taking place harmonically and how the energetic movement is occurring, it allows for your ability to navigate like that. I used this expression before. once you start to see how this really works, like a circuit, you can think of it as current as well, right? Current, you can, but once you see it either within a harmonic fashion or within a movement of current, once you understand it, once you get it, because it takes a while, okay? But once you get it, it's like riding a bike, so to speak. You just know how to do it. It becomes instinctual, if you know what I mean. And as I mentioned before, knowing this is important because understanding this allows you to know how to navigate and go into certain vector locations. And so this is all relevant. And when within the workshop in our multidimensional anatomy course, the end process for that is really moving into what I refer to as a ceremony of the Taran. And when you have this understanding in combination with the other detailed aspects of your multidimensional anatomy and know it very well, it just, everything becomes really, really clear. Going through this one particular tonal exercise is referred to as the Manu exercise because, again, we're referring to the first creation, vibration, thought, intention. This is from which we're flowing from and through the construct. So this, again, is a harmonic structured layout for that sequences your Huva bodies. Okay? It's one of the most powerful sounds that you can use is because of that. But just singing it and just listening to somebody sing it, it doesn't really mean much. You have to know why. It's sort of like going somewhere. And if you're planning to go somewhere, you know what you're going to do and you plan for it. Consider learning what this is as planning so that you know exactly where you're going and why you're doing what you're doing. You're going on certain roads when you're planning a trip. Things are mapped out. Well, these days people rely on the computer system of their vehicle, but the old school way was to get a map and then learn how to navigate. And this is, you consider it to be old school way, but it's really the only way that you can learn it. You can have things done to you, right? But you really don't want things done to you. You want to be the captain of your helm. You want to be the one who's making sovereign decisions. So learning this, understanding why you're doing it, and it begins to develop the ability, because of your intention becoming strong and knowing what you're doing, it allows you to now begin to visualize. It starts just to happen by itself. It's the same thing that I had going on with the sound and light techniques that I developed, but that happened a lot faster. That's something I would also like to include within the workshop for those who are interested in it, because I've never had anything that responded so quickly as that. And that's for another time. If anybody's interested, I can talk further about that, but I would like to include that, and I'd like to be able to go back to that myself because of the effects and the quick response I got from it. It was quite powerful, more so than anything else that I, in the driver's seat, have experienced. Okay, just calling it straight out. So yeah, because what it does, it unifies and brings you into the Manu state, much more unified and faster than anything else, because you're utilizing both the combination of vibration and oscillation. Okay, like when we're doing these particular exercises, you have to kind of work into this stage of being able to focus your intention clearly. Like, again, going on that road trip, say I'm planning that road trip, You need to know where you're going, know what the roads that you're traveling and where you're going to. So, it's a process. But what I noticed with the sound and light techniques is that it sped it up really quick, and the most significant or most important, should I say, for doing the sound and light techniques, since I'm talking about that, is learning one particular technique in order to be able to do the exercises. And that is knowing how to vibrate within your body and be able to move it within different locations of your body. And that takes a little bit. It doesn't take as much as it sounds like. It sounds a little bit more complicated than what it is, but it does take practice. And once you got that down, everything else is pretty much relatively easy. And again, everything that you're doing or I'm doing, we are doing, we know that it's all about our intention. Our intention has to be clear. And when it's most clear is when things start happening, because we're shifting within a narrow bandwidth and we're not being distracted by anything. It's like, using all these analogies, it's like if you're a race car driver or something, right? And you're flying down the track. Well, you really have to focus. So the intention has to be really clear, because, it's easy for something to happen or in this case, it's easy for distractions to occur, which takes you off your path. And that can be in the moment. And that's the power that I found with the sound and light techniques, because it doesn't allow you to do that. You just get locked in and you're just there. And it happens quickly. For those that don't know what that is, sound and light techniques, I'm utilizing the keyboard as an assisting tool to be able to move through the multidimensional anatomy. And it first begins with the grounding aspect, and that is the lowest point within our chi center. And grounding within that, and then creating vibration within that location. And then it'll start, once you learn how to do the technique, to be able to move it in that area. And this varies based on people's voice. Women are going to be different than men. Certain men are going to be different as far as how low you can create that vibration, but everybody can do it, okay? Everybody can do it. Once you get that where you can feel it, and again, to emphasize, your intention with what you're doing is essential. It's like, it's not waiting around for something to happen. You're making it happen. You're co-creating it. You're making it happen. So what happens, again, is that within the lowest point, when you get that vibration and you be able to move it, you move it into the lowest point of your body and within the chi center. So anything that is most sensitive, your anus, different locations that has the most sensitivity, being able to isolate that vibration in those areas to stimulate, okay, which is very important. And with an intention, it will begin, this is what my experience was, it begins to move up by itself. I could feel it going up through my vertical column. It just started to move up. And I was actually making a video while I was doing that. I was doing it on camera, and I had to stop. At least I thought I did. I wish I hadn't stopped, because it was moving up in here, and that's exactly what you want to do. What you're doing, this is what's happening. You're stimulating areas that have been dormant, and it all stimulates through vibration. And I was led to do this, to put these things together, these techniques, through one word. The word was octave. I heard the word octave, and what it was in context to was this construct and its harmonic structure. And when I heard that, I just kind of went over there to the keyboard and start musing what that was. And then I started to break down the subharmonics that I could see, well, by using the keyboard. Technically, I would need like a 36 octave keyboard to be able to do that. But the point is that I began to see the relevance of the harmonic structure, and I was able to explain it to myself via the keyboard. So it's a harmonic structure, yes, indeed. And the whole thing behind activation of your DNA has to do with vibration. The vibration stimulates, then the stimulates creates a projection of the vibration. What does that mean? Well, it's quite simple. A projection is like, think of a motion picture, camera, and it projecting the image on the wall. That's what the electrical movement is. It's the inversion of the vibration or code within the vibration. So as soon as it starts to vibrate and stimulate, especially with a very particular intention involved, it starts to spin. That which was dormant starts to spin, and what it's doing is starts to pull in the primal life force currents. It starts to activate. And this is what I was experiencing, and I was like totally excited about it. And what was interesting, well, maybe not so interesting, but what happened to me after that is that I got attacked, and I lost the ability to be able to do the techniques because it had to do with it's complicated, but I ended up being hospitalized because what was going on in me, I couldn't vibrate in my body because it would cause my heart to fibrillate, and it would go into, it would start palpitate, and 160, 170 beats per minute. I ended up going to the hospital, and I guess there is particular reasons for certain things. And I'm kind of glad in a way, not for that, but I'm kind of glad that I've been 15 years online here and I just been barely skating by, and I've been really flying under the radar, and I know what I have, and I try to be very reserved about it. I know what I have to offer, and I know a lot of that I've been given is intended for liberation because that's been my heart. I spent 15 years in ministry, 27 years in Christianity, and it's always been about that for me. It's like, it's important for people to be at liberty so that we can be of service to one another. I mean, we are our brothers and sisters' keeper, are we not? I guess people can argue that, but I just seen things simple and always really have, in that regard. And it's important that we can be at liberty and free so that we can co-create with one another, that we can lift up one another, So I have to say I'm thankful because there's a lot here that I can't say or I can't talk about that I've dealt with before when I was dealing with spiritual warfare when I was in ministry. Something I wouldn't recommend anybody doing, but I learned a lot from all those things. And another reason why I've been wanting to fly under the radar. What you have to give, if it's important, if it's valuable, I realize that it's better for it to be a slow process, and so that it can create momentum and do things a little bit different, a little bit smarter. It's not to your advantage to pick a fight. I see certain individuals within the spiritual communities that kind of pick fights, and some of them kind of like it. I don't really see where the benefit is because I've had my own confrontations, and like I said, I don't recommend anybody going into spiritual warfare. Most people that seem to be doing that now, they're not really doing that. They're not really necessarily going into spiritual warfare. They're kind of just talking the talk. Because when you become a threat, when you actually become a threat, I can't even explain some of the things I've experienced. I mean, I can, but nobody would understand it. They would just hear a story and it wouldn't mean anything to them. But you don't play around with that. There's a better way to do things. And that's what I've learned. So I don't reveal everything. I keep things low key as much as possible. And then I ramble on like this and people get bored with me and run away. But there's a method to my madness. A lot of times I do this on purpose. And if people are listening, they hear it, But anyhow, so I digressed enough. But again, this is about navigation, learning so that you know how to take the trip. The whole thing about the ceremony of the Taran is about going within, which, the word would be used as ascension. And that's literally what that is. That's what I'm referring to it as a ceremony because I turned it into a ceremony. I added more music to it and all that. And that's something that obviously is to be included with the workshop of our multidimensional anatomy course. It's like the conclusion of it. And I have still yet to put that together by itself. Haven't been able to do it for a lot of reasons. And now I think I understand the reasons why. It wasn't intended to be done yet. I have it finished. I do it. I can do it by myself, and I do. But, it's something that timing is just not right for it. And that's the way I see it at this point, and which is perfectly fine with me. I'm in no hurry to do anything. Yes, it is simple, brother. It is simple. Hi, Mark. I'm sorry I didn't see you. Yeah, I thought I would try to do Monday nights. I'm a little bit lethargic about this time, but that's okay. And that way I can, connect with those such as yourself and Solly, because of time zones. So I think that's what I'll be doing on Mondays. I'll try to make a regular thing of this on Mondays. If it's just coming on here and just talking for, just hearing what other people have to say or whatever, I'll just look to try to do that because it's kind of bothered me that I haven't been able to make a connection to some of you folks that have been there, especially Solly. He's just been really supportive, and I really appreciate that. And so is there anything here that I overcomplicated because I talked too much about it? Or is there anything here that you want to talk about? Good morning. Good morning from England. Okay. Francis, good to have you here. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm talking about, I'm just going over the sequential harmonic aspect of the tones that we find in some of these zones, specifically this one here. And if you don't mind, folks, I'm just going to go ahead and play what I played there, a performance of that. Again, it's an A minor. It's like I transcribed it so it'd be guitar friendly. And I have a lot of these zones and songs, should I say, transcribed, And one of the things I wanted to be able to get back into is be able to teach music. And I figured this would be, a good way to do that for those who would be interested. But the transcriptions are available for those that are interested in that. This one specifically, because this is what's being discussed here. It's about the harmonic movement of the sequence of tones in relationship to this time matrix. So let me go ahead and play that performance, for lack of terms, and we'll come back. Okay, so just try to catch, a couple of you up here as far as what's going on. So this is what's being discussed, what I'm going to play here. Flip my mic back on. Right. So there's the transcription for it. Now I transcribe this into 4 keys: A minor, which again is most guitar friendly for those who play guitar, and B minor, which is a reasonable key to play in as far as guitar, and then C minor, which is the original key that it was in. And then I modulate to D minor. When I did the keyboard version of this, when I created the track for that, I modulated up to D minor. And so what I have going on here, because I usually will modulate, if my voice allows for it, but I'll arrange it so that you can modulate. So that's really what's going on. This PDF that you see here, this is only 1 page. And so it goes from A minor, then it modulates up to B minor, then again another half step, and then to D minor after C minor. Something to note is this. Again, your intention is the most important thing. Whatever tuning you want to use, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Your intention actually matters much more than the tuning that you would use. But everybody has their preference. If you want to use 432, that's fine. This is in 440. I prefer 444. I don't really care for 432. It's just most of the instruments we have here, at least like string instruments, they don't do as well. They don't sound as good at that tuning. So that's been my experience with it, and I mean, it makes it easier to be able to sing. But there's no magic trick to any of that, though, just to let you know. Most of the Keylontic Science songs that you hear, they're in 440. The Song of Deity, the vow, that is, the vow of deity. Well, there's 2 different versions of it. It's the same melody. A lot of people really love that because it's really a beautiful melody. But surprise, surprise, I orchestrated that, so I know what tuning is involved with that, and it's 440. Most of what you see in Keylontic Science is 440. Again, it's your intention that matters. That's really what matters the most in regard to this. Remember, you're a God sentient being, and your will is your command. So, take take benefit from that, realizing that you hold a lot more power than, it's not a matter of pushing buttons and having something done to you. You're the one that's co-creating it. You're making it happen. You're just utilizing tools and different things to facilitate that. Make it your own. Is my response always is, make it your own. That was the whole thing with the sound and light techniques. That's, if I'm teaching music, whatever, I'm more interested in the individual making it their own. If they want to learn what I do or something like that, okay, sure, I'll show it to you. I'll go over that and explain perhaps the theory behind it or whatever. But I encourage more of you making it your own, because that's what's important. You're an individual. You're an individuated, conscious creation. Maybe creation is the wrong word to use here, but you're an individuated awareness that has its own will. You're unique. Excuse me, I'm having a hard time with my throat right now. You are unique, so it's more important for you to do things your way when it comes to any of this stuff. Okay? Just learn, then apply it the way it best fits you. All right, so I'm going to go back to this one more time, I guess. Because I need to straighten it out. All right, so I just wanted to refer to, again, what this was about. It was about looking at the harmonic structure, because this sequence of tones is moving from the primal sound fields. It's mirroring within the primal light fields, and then it's going through the densities or the harmonic universes. Densities and dimensions are two different things. A density consists of 3 dimensions, okay, which consists of 3 aspects of your manifest template, which makes up the ability to be able to function fully within that harmonic structure or universe. But if you look, I'll just start again from where it says ta'a. Okay, this is dimension 10. And then below that, because we're moving from the primal sound fields through the construct, okay? So ta'a, dimension 10, then mira, dimension 7, prana, dimension 4, and then chi, dimension 1. So ta'a, mira, prana, chi, just like it's sung, okay? And this is the sequence of events. If you look, it goes from 10 to 7 to 4 to 1. What's the common denominator there as far as what's going on? Well, it's a movement in thirds. It's descending in thirds, harmonically. 10 to 7, that's 3. Then 7 to 4, that's 3 again. And then 4 to 1 is what? It's 3 again. It's moving harmonically. So 3, 6, 9, 12. The pulse I mentioned before about the pulse in regard to, because when we're looking at threes, we're looking at the first creation vibration, thought, intention. That's referred to as the Holy Trinity. That's where the religious terms come from in regard to that. Okay? That's the code structure for it. And, I don't want to go into all of that at this point because I'll be here all night. But what I'm saying is this is not by accident. This is part of the divine structure in regard to the geomathematical function within it. The power of 3, right? Power of 6, power of 9, power of 12, because it's all threes. It's the same thing we're seeing here. It's moving in thirds. And that's the way I look at it. I look at it harmonically because it is harmonic, And I could spend, at least a couple hours talking about the harmonic structure in itself, throwing a few bits of science in there in the process in order to, somewhat validate my position. But that's the way I see it. And that's the way I know it to be. Let me just say that. Let me rephrase that. So I want to go ahead and make this a bit smaller. Because I got this line. I don't even know if this line is actually coming through. Probably. I hope not. but I know you probably don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine. Never mind. You notice that I'm able to shrink it here, and there's border lines to this whole thing, so it looked like it was crossing over to the other stuff, like when I played the classical guitar version of this. There had this big red line that was going through my forehead. So I'm thinking, well, hopefully nobody sees that. I'm just nitpicking. But anyhow, all right, this looks better. Can't really see it very well, but like I said, all this, the transcription for this is available for those who want it. You know, I do believe, I know it. No, I don't believe. I know it is. This is in Patreon. This is available in Patreon. You just have to go through the library to find it. But it's part of a video. It's connected to the video. It had to do with learning, for those who are interested in learning how to create their own songs, as it would be. I just call them songs because songs seems a little bit too fancy for me. So here we go. Full screen. All right, I'm going to switch. There I be. Let me try to catch up here with what y'all are writing. Well, thank you. I appreciate the compliments, and I appreciate that you folks are resonating with what I'm communicating here. It's kind of funny being in front of the camera sometimes. Sometimes I kind of do well. Sometimes I just don't. It's even though I have the chat going on there, there's a lot of degrees of separation. So it kind of takes me a bit to try to, balance myself to be able to connect better, But I'm thankful I can use this as a tool. It is just what it is. So, but it can be like any tool. It can be used for great benefit, So I do my best as I'm able. Maybe not so much this evening for me, which is evening here, but I'm trying. I do what I can. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much for saying that, Francis. I appreciate that. I wonder if, Mark, are you still here? If you're still here, just kind of say hey or something. I'd like to be able to know that you're still around. If you could, I'd appreciate that. So is there anything that I said that you would have any question about or want to say something about? Or I know I have a tendency to say a lot, so but the things that were important to you or seem that way may be important to you. I really don't know how to phrase that properly, but if you have anything, that's I like to be able to address it if I can. I didn't know that you were in South Africa, Mark. I think you mentioned that before. I'm not sure. So good to have everybody here. Got a wide band of as far as location going on here. Just a few people that are here. I appreciate that. Again, to emphasize the reason for this, doing a late live podcast, is so that I could be able to extend across these other time zones that, it becomes a little bit more convenient for you folks, and I don't mind doing this, I mean, doing it on Mondays because the other 2 days I'll be doing it on Wednesdays and Fridays in the morning. And so if I can be consistent with doing it on Mondays, that would be good. That way people will know what to expect, that I'm going to show up. And I've been trying to be consistent with this, circumstances here in the past and everything else, I've really haven't allowed for that too much. And I became quite burnt out by doing videos. I mean, it was just, I really don't want to ever do a video again. Honestly, I really don't. I want to do some live performance, though. I want to do live music, but I want to try to get this where there's more momentum with this before I do that, or maybe I'll dabble into it and maybe try to record something. And I don't know how it's going to work out with the live thing, so how I'm going to do that, because it's quite a bit of a challenge, because there's no way for me to monitor to what I'm doing. Like what I'm doing here, I can't hear myself speak. I hear myself here, but I don't hear how it's coming through the system, because I'm using the OBS system. I mentioned this before, and there's a latency that I can't get rid of. I've tried, and so there's this echo, which is really annoying. So I just turn it all the way off, and sometimes I'll turn it down very, very, very low, enough to where if I'm playing something else, I know where it ends, so I can hear it well enough to be able to know where it ends. If it's not like a video where it fades out at the end, but other stuff that I've done here recently, it's been so that I would have to, time it rightly. Time it right. I'm not even speaking proper English right now. It's rightly. It doesn't even sound right. At least not the way that I was using it. Anyhow, long story short, so I don't know how a live performance would work out with that. I guess I could just try, and then listen back to it after it's been done, and wish it would have been something I could monitor. That's really what I'm saying. I have no way to monitor anything that I'm putting out. I know it's there, and I'm able to adjust the levels, and for certain things that works. But for like speaking into the microphone, like if I just move a little bit this way, start talking like that, or just start doing this, and I've done this before where I start talking and I'll move in front of the microphone like that, which obviously I don't do anymore, because I said you can't do that, Randy, because nobody can hear what you're saying. So it's even worse like if I'm playing, because it's you have to be freer to be able to play. It's really very uncomfortable to try to do this and play and stay in front of the microphone and all that stuff. When it's a live performance, like in a real room or something like that, you can just jack up the microphone, turn it up, and then which I prefer to do, and I could just be away from it like that, and I can move around. So I'm just rambling on, folks, explaining certain things that most people wouldn't be interested in. But I don't know how that would work, so I might end up just recording some stuff ahead of time, and then I don't know. Like the whole thing with the workshop and doing the ceremony of the Taran. I'm not in a hurry to do anything. It's like when the time's right, that's when I'll be doing it. So I'm kind of waiting. It's kind of weird. For the longest time, I waited forever, and then I get in a hurry, and it's like, what in a hurry for? It would be really nice here where I could actually book a place to go play at, and then have somebody record it. Maybe like stream it live. That would be great. Things like that, where it can be semi-professionally recorded, have proper mic placement and all this other stuff, and be able to run things direct and run it through a proper system, and have somebody else do that who knows what they're doing, and I could just focus on what I'm doing on my end. Too many hats to wear, too much juggling. So, oh, hi, Brian. Nice to see you, brother. Wow, it's pretty late out where you're at. Thanks for showing up and just stepping in. I appreciate that. Yeah, I came on late here and thinking about doing this on Mondays for across the pond, mainly for Sally, is really the reason why I was wanting to do this, because it's such a huge difference in time zones. And I figured maybe one day out of the week that I could come in here, at 10 a.m. or whatever. Excuse me, 10 p.m. Did I say a.m.? I think I did. And instead of 10 a.m. is what I meant. And, come on here for an hour or so. So that's what I'm doing here. Talking a little bit about the idea of navigating through your multidimensional anatomy and how important your intention is and the harmonic aspect of structure, how musical everything is. And using the example of the universal tones of co-creation as the example for that. Well, I'm about ready to go ahead and call it quits, because it's closing in here about an hour now that I've been here. So I'm tired myself. I'm an old fellow. I get tired pretty easily these days. And so I appreciate everybody being here. I guess Mark kind of stepped off and was doing something, or couldn't get back on to say hey. But I appreciate him stepping in and saying saying hello earlier. And I appreciate everybody being here that's here. Thanks, Francis. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mark. And I'm going to go ahead and close out. I guess I'll go ahead and play the song again that was using as the example for what this video is about. And I'll just end with that. So thank you, folks. And for those of you that can make Wednesdays and Fridays, it'll be 10 a.m. here on the Pacific. Over here on the West Coast. I'm fading away here, folks. All right. I've been doing that for about a half an hour already. All right. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And let me switch over to this here real quick, if I can. And go out with this. All right, folks. Thank you.
Shalom Daika Shadeh.